I'm thinking of a guy right now who builds swimming pools, has for 2 or 3 years, is his contract and his checklists. I said, look, I don't know everything. His first contract for a pool didn't mention fences, sprinkler systems, or gas lines. Well, guess who repaired the fence, repaired the sprinkler system, and repaired the gas lines, right?
Yeah,
Well, now they all mention that. So his contract and his checklists are growing with experience.
absolutely.
And and you've wasted that experience if you don't capture it. That's what I was after. How the heck did you do that?
Well, I'm sure you've heard this expression, but I'm living proof of it. Good judgment comes from experience, Martin, and experience comes from bad judgment, right? So when you fail as much as I fail, at some point you start to recognize, success leaves clues, right? So you start to recognize what you have to do, and you just don't want to make the mistakes. I'm a fan and student of listening to sales trainers. Like I go, going back to Tom Hopkins and Brian Tracy and Zig Ziglar. I'm a fan of organizational systems experts, and at some point you just realize um, the mistake is an investment if you make it once and you fix it. It's an expense if you just keep making it over and over again, right? So we did begin to write things down, and that was the key, right? Because I somebody once told me that um, anything in writing is an agreement, and agreements prevent disagreements. And so when I put something in writing and I start sharing this with employees and supervisors and managers, now we've got an agreement of the way we're going to be doing things. And you know, I now that I'm out and I do some speaking in our industry as a incoming association president, and I talk to a lot of young people who are starting in this industry. So if you build 5 exhibits a month or a quarter, if you're like the farmer's insurance guy, you know a thing or two because you've seen a thing or two. But
Right.
when you build 55 projects a month in the same cities, experiencing the same variables, you really start to zero in and know where to make your investment in pre-planning. Because I've just accepted, Martin, that the type of business I am, right? So I'm in the fulfillment business for others. So I'm accepting the risk. And so when they outsource and give us a project to build, even when we move into the show, we've had exhibit house partners look at us and they see these rolling stacks of ladders and job boxes and they go, "Oh my gosh, this is all for my project?" And we go, "No, 50% of this is for your project. The other 50% we hope we're not going to need, right? But hopefully you never have to find out how good we really are." Right?
Really
Because
are.
we look like the 82nd Airborne when we're moving in for a show. And by the way, if we're doing 8 or 10 or 20 projects at a show like a ConAgCon Expo, we really move everything out there. And even that is not enough in a city like for us, we're now of a volume size where I've got to have a shop within 10 or 15 minutes because at night, when somebody ships something in and two
Broke.
yeah, acrylic wings get cracked or broken, we've got to run back and we have to have that in inventory. We have to have saws that can cut it to precision.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's so how we all those mistakes, right, lead up to starting to document some things. And by the way, I'm going to share with you right now. This is where I'm at. I am loving a recent series you guys did called "The 9 Essentials of an Organized Business." And so it's got me I know what a vision is, a statement is. I know what a mission is, but I was one of those guys that looked for the really robust 3-paragraph vision that covers every
Yeah.
scenario that says, yeah, we really are all things to all people. But you know what? Here's what I can now say, and I can say it in a way that my employees could even memorize it. My vision is to build a company that is the most valuable outsource partner to exhibit house and ad agencies that do business in the trade show and the business event space. How do we do that? Well, that's our mission, right? We do that by making the lives easier of the project managers, sales reps, and operations people that we do business with that give us projects. And how do we make their lives easier? Relentless, constant innovating our own processes and systems, making it easier to do. And by the way, I believe if you do that, any contractor, your processes and systems become a mechanism of you attracting new customer more than your deliverables. How you are doing business becomes the most valuable thing. You're able to create relationships with your clients that are not easily duplicated by your competitors.
Yeah,
Would you agree?
that's brilliant.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
How do you, a little bit of on a pragmatic side, how do you actually record them? Do you write them
So,
down?
the struggle is real. And the struggle for me was so much of that is what the lizard nest in my brain, Martin, is always kicked over. And so I was the guy that would think about him and I'm scratch padding and I'm this. And ultimately we got to a size where, I had hired an administrative operations leader whose job was to document not only put these in writing, but then the job descriptions to make sure. And again, that's another thing we're revisiting right now is by the way, this is not a position that ad ops director. I've not hired that position back yet. I'm only at about 70% of the head count of where we were, which is probably one of the reasons we're wildly profitable. I have better people, but there's gaps everywhere in my dedicated marketing. Khalil hears me wax poetic about this regularly. It's an important position. And, we're sort of using some freelancers right now until we're at a point where the critical operations positions are hired. But hear me now, you can't ignore the need to do these things, but I'm feeling every day that I don't have that person.
Enough.
And because
always
the
more.
systems have changed, Martin, right? We're a different company. We do business differently. Our offering is expanded or different. And so it requires us doing a better job, putting things in writing and then training and onboarding.
And just for a lot of our smaller listeners, the place you will capture those is in your contract and in your checklist that your project managers use. I mean, that's,
Yes.
we definitely need more than that, need job descriptions, all that. But I really like to see people capture it in their contracts, that at least you're dealing with these issues you're going to deal with.
Even, listen, we were all small business contractors to begin with. We were all soloists before we were small business owners. So what the issues are. And so, I do feel the need, and I remember Khalil talking about a 3-3-3 plan about how you try and find time in your day to work on, things other than the tyranny of the urgent stuff, which by the way shows up every hour of every day. But you've got to find the time. Just keep a journal. Just write down the things that caused you pain today, last week, when you get some time. From that note taking, you know how you fixed it or what you need to do or what you can do better. But it starts with just documenting that that pain, and whether it's hiring somebody to help you put that in an organized, written way, or you find the time. I know when you're starting, it's so hard not to be a guy working in your company. We all want to work on it, but it took me decades before I can say that's now my full-time job. And by the way, it's liberating when you get to that point. It really is. It feels incredible.